Good day and welcome to the AgFlow webinar. My name is Raymond Rogers. My professional career spanned 35 years as senior researcher and research manager for Continental Grain and then Cargill International. I retired from the Cargill World Trading Unit in Geneva, Switzerland in 2010, and my current role is heading up project development for AgFlow. The webinar is scheduled for a maximum of 30 minutes, of which 20 minutes is explanation and demoing, and 10 minutes for questions. Sitting with me today are my colleagues Tess and Paolo, and they will be helping with submitted questions during the presentation. They will collect them and answer them after the live demo. You notice there's a chat window at the bottom of the right-hand bottom of the screen. So please feel free to to pass on questions as we go through the webinar. First of all, what is AgFlow about? AgFlow is an information platform based on the internet and has access through browsers. There's no software that you have to install for using this system. There are four main modules plus reports. The modules are physical cash prices from 100 contributors worldwide for agricultural commodities and products, public tender results for commodities and products, trade flows, and then world freight rates. It's a platform that specializes in OTC data sources. It's also built by the market for the market, and it is trade focused. We do want you to know that 15% of the shares were invested in by SGS in July, so they have a strong partner to help us on our path of development. Trade flows. Trade flows are based on vessel lineups and not on customs data. It's the movement of commodity and products from origin to destination. Vessel lineups are a key element in the S&D analysis for determining price trends and also in the analysis of distribution logistics. The pain point, and I don't mean main point, the pain point for most of you watching this webinar today is that the global capture of such information is very labor intensive, due mainly to the normalization of the data. The providers that we have come in with different naming conventions. They're not mother tongue English, etc. So it is a process. What you get out of the Tradeflow module is that once the data is brought in, you can analyze it, you can produce reports. So you're getting all the data in one place. It's being centralized for you, and it's similar to a one-stop shop. The data procedure of inputting is dynamic. It's timely, it's frequent, and here again I stress it's not customs data. The lineups include vessels that are arriving, being loaded, and with expected departure times. We make an effort to select the best data for each origin location. That means we have several providers of this data. These providers are partners, and they are in South America, they are North America, Russia, Black Sea. Australia is a consulting firm because the Australian system functions differently with stems, and therefore one has the stems, one finds the destinations. We have SGS as a partner, which covers other other origins, just as the other 8 do. So when you look at this as a undertaking, I like to say sometimes we're taking the best whiskey and we're blending it. For the best whiskeys are single malts, and we're blending it into one database of data, which is extremely useful and functional. To give you an idea of the scope of what we've been able to do, I've taken, on the left table, you have 2 columns of data. One is for the tonnage from origins in 2016, and then from January to April 2017. The total is 525 million tons for 2016, and the first 7 commodities represent 90% of the tonnage. And as you go down through, and the others you see at the bottom of 17 million, means that we're picking up such things as sugar beet, biodiesel, rice, etc. We don't target these commodities, but they are represented by some of the providers. On the right table, when we take the 525 million tons of tonnage for 2016 and the 200 million tons of tonnage for 2017, we have really 4 major origins plus 2 minors. And one is, so South America is the one that's the heavyweight, followed by North America, which is Canada and the United States, the Black Sea, which is Ukraine, Russia, and also Romania and Bulgaria, Northern Europe, then Australia, which is wheat and barley mainly, and Southeast Asia, which for the time being is palm oil from Malaysia and Indonesia. So that gives you an idea of the weighting of the vessel lineups. What's important for you to understand is we've made a good effort and good progress in covering what are the bulk shipments. And in this case, we do not cover container shipments in a strict manner. We do have some for the United States and some for Russia, but normally they are not included in this vessel lineup database. In looking at this, overall, for the 14 commodities and products that we are covering, we believe that we have 83% coverage. And if you look at the rankings, we see we have very good coverage for the corn, soybeans, sunseed, and relatively good for wheat and sorghum and barley. We like to think that we really get good coverage at plus 90%. When we look at our geographic distribution of where we want to be and where we are, this is a table showing the commodities down the column on the left and the origins across the top. What's in blue is being well covered. What is in orange is working. In other words, we have coverage, but it's perhaps 60%, 70%, and we need to improve it. And as you can see in this one, Canada is a target geography at this current time. What we have in red are areas that we have not yet covered, and we will be working to cover those. And as you can see, in the United States, it's soy meal and soy oil, and for Australia and Canada, it's the rape meal and rape oil, or canola meal, canola oil. We don't have any sun oil shipments going out of Turkey yet, and Indonesian palm oil remains problematic. But if we take these all together, the geographic coverage, if we look at the blue boxes or the blue cells, along with the orange ones, which we're making progress on, we are going to be at 88% coverage geographically. And this is and it goes along with the tonnage we're covering. So we're generally at the 83% level, 85% level, and we hope to be above 90 in the next few months. To recap this, we are covering 14 major commodities and products in the bulk movements, and we were over 80%. We have 100,000 vessel records since January 2015, and we do make an effort to collapse vessel cargoes when they are the same. In other words, if there's five or four holes in a ship and it's all corn, we collapse it into one record. If it's corn and soybeans, then it becomes two records. We do cover 60 origins and 380 loading ports, but as you saw on the previous table, we perhaps have 15 geographies that we really need to cover. The updates are dynamic. They can take place daily, 2 times a week, weekly, and sometimes monthly. We do strive to get everyone to provide on a weekly basis and, if possible, more frequently. The module is updated with revised data from the providers at the beginning of the month for the previous month. That is to say that they do their due diligence and check on the vessels that have actually sailed, and sometimes they compare them to what they know in official data if it is available. But there is a revision process taking place all the time. Therefore, if you run reports, you may find that the numbers do change historically. As I said earlier, normalization of the nomenclature was a tough job, and we've made a great deal of progress, and it's an ongoing process. We haven't finished. And because we have several providers, duplicates from more than one source are removed. There's an algorithm for doing that. Looking forward as to where we want to go with this module, as I said before, we wish to have 90% coverage or better for each of the 14 commodities and products. We will tackle reconciliation at some point down the road. That is, that the announced destination is actually the real port and country arrival that has been announced. We do have some rules in play for certain items, one being that if we see soymeal vessels headed for China, we do double check them because China's, in this case, not an importer of soymeal. That means the vessel has been mislabeled meal instead of soybeans, or is actually going to another destination. At another point down the road, we will have a system to create reports to estimate the arrival times. So that means setting the sailing days from origin to destination. We also will strive to get more coverage on container shipments. And I just mentioned briefly, which you will see in the live demo, the pivot table, so that we come to have a favorites format, so once you make your reports, you can retrieve the report without having to recreate it and letting it update with the newer data. Now, this is an overview of the Tradeflows homepage, and the part you see in the middle with the gray lines and the records is really a portion of the database of the there are 125,000 records with all the container shipments we get in here. And looking across the top, we've divided it into export fields, import fields, and cargo fields, with then the rest of them being volume, vessel, charter, shipper, status, and date. One thing that you will note on this is that the little clock with the red arrow going down points to updates by export country is the way for you to see when the latest updates have been put in. This is important because it's a dynamic process. On the right side of the top, there's the I for tutorial, information tutorial, and the question mark for user guide. The user guide is actually quite important because it gives you the breakdowns and the backgrounds of how we've set up the geography, regionalizations, and also the grouping of the commodity names and products. And in this case, I would like to say that we have on the left side then in the green circle the pivot mode, which is the way you get to making reports. The module was, as you see on the slide, was released on the 4th of April 2017. So it's a new product in our repertoire. Now, if you click on that green circle in the previous slide, you come to the module for pivot table or making reports. And in this case, you see that at the top, I put it in red, you do have an option here to produce a report on a marketing year basis. But you have to set the marketing year before you go into the report generation. The default setting is July, but it could be any month of the year. And if you're looking for South American reports, then you would set them at March, February, or April, March, etc., etc. I'll make a quick comment on the fields, which you see on the right, but here's another table. The two fields in yellow, export country, cargo origin, are very similar. The difference being is that the export country is the country in which the ports are located, and the cargo origin is telling you where the cargo is coming from. The classic example here would be Argentina, in that Argentina exports goods out of Paraguay and Bolivia. So if you put cargo origin, you will see the Bolivian and the Paraguayan name come up and the amount of goods coming from those two origins. The cargo subgroup is the one that's most used because in this nomenclature normalization, we've kept the cargo nomenclature from the providers under cargo details. So there again, you'll see, instead of just saying soy meal, you would see soy meal, soy pellets. You may see expellers. Under cargo details, you would see the wheat classes for the United States, etc., etc. So, but for most of you running reports, you would want to run to the cargo subgroup, which then is approximately 40 fields, and the cargo details has 153 fields. Before we go into the live demo, I just wanted to point out that you are all eligible to sign up for a free trial by going to www.agflow.com, or if you have special requests, you can contact sales@agflow.com. Now let's move on to the live demo, and I believe it will be, sorry. I'm getting there. And here is the Tradeflows page. As I said before, you can easily see the latest updates here. So we've had updates from South America today and from Ukraine. You can then, at this level, you can filter. So these filters would allow you to look at a certain country, or if I took, in this case, if we say we just want to look at South America, you apply the filter, and you'll see the South American records from the latest to the oldest. And in this case, if we took a subgroup, we could select soybeans, and you can apply as many filters as you wish. And if you want to look at the only the vessels arriving or in loading stages, berth stages, you get those. And if you want to look at a shipper, I'll take one at the top here alphabetically. There's many shippers. I think we can settle on ADM as one as a known operator in the market. And you will see here in the soybean that it's loading vessels or expected to load vessels from Argentine origin and Paraguayan origin for soybeans. The logos of the partners are spaced here, and you can, that gives you the contact information. If you want to know anything about them, you can get through them. Now, to go to the report environment, we are here, as I pointed out in the earlier slide. The one number you have over here is the totality of tonnage in the whole database, so that's always a given when you start. I guess the first thing you want to do is pick out some commodities, or just pick, you don't want everything in the database, so you would set up the filter here. Excuse me, I'll bring this on down. Take this out. Bring the subgroup down here to filters. And for this case, we'll take two in the soy sector. We can take soybeans and soymeal. And we apply this, then we get the totality of the cargoes there of 416 million tons. We will just look at the current year, and that will be by undoing everything except 2017. And then we can construct we'll take the cargo origin so that we can see the origins for these two products. And if I take the cargo subgroup, which I can place on top, it'll subdivide it into soybeans and soymeal. And if I bring down the year, we have the year. If I bring down the month, you can see the amounts that have gone from January, February, March, April, and what is being sized, what is being expected to arrive. It's a birth already in the month of May, which is close to 12 million tons of beans and meal out of South America. And if you open these, actually this is everybody. So if I really want to have only the cargo origin from South America, I could filter that out. So these are the totals of the movements, and you can sort these, as you can see, from highest to lowest. And so that table is available as such. And if you took out the cargo origin and you put in the import region, then this would be the same table going from an export table to an import table. So that's the two sides of it. I think that's a good enough, it gives you a good enough idea. And of course, once you have this, you can export it to CSV, which is an Excel table, and it will allow you to process the data in different ways, and that it will be up to you to decide. So you can open up this and it would give you this table. So I would like to thank you for your time and remind you that you can sign up for the free trial for 14 days, and that please, I hope you've submitted your questions so that my colleagues can provide the answers. Thank you very much.